of Atlanta.
The recently renewed Metropolitan River Protection Act, MRPA, initially enacted in 1973 by the Georgia General Assembly following the Clean Water Act of 1972, has come one step closer to protecting and cleaning the Chattahoochee River. It was enacted to set in motion plans to achieve several key objectives: to protect the public waters of the Chattahoochee, to protect the private property rights of landowners, to prevent floods and erosion, and to control construction intensity around the river. The MRPA sets limits on builders near the river and takes into account certain aspects of the land being used, such as topography. It has been considered by the Georgia court system that it puts in place reasonable restrictions on development for the river. If the law is broken, it is up to the perpetrator to remediate the damage done. The MRPA is protected by the Georgia court system. While this is important, there is one flaw in it, according to Ensign. The general concept of designated protected or low-use areas as buffers for waterways is a good start in preservation. However, since the MRPA only covers the area associated with the main channel of the Chattahoochee and not its tributaries, it will ultimately fail as development will continue to occur in the waterways that feed the main river.
The Environmental Protection Agency, otherwise known as the EPA, and the Department of Watershed Management are two other major government influences. EPA deals with a lot of the general laws surrounding the river, while the Department of Watershed Management deals mostly with issues such as construction and road runoff. Runoff is one of the most damaging factors to the river. Roads collect oil, dirt, gas, radiator fluid, tire rubber, and many other traffic pollutants that eventually make its way to the river. Construction causes destruction to the landscape that can result in excess dirt, silt, garbage, and the construction machinery pollutants end up in the river. The higher the traffic and population density, the more these factors are issues. Government groups are largely responsible for ensuring that laws are followed and that the necessary preventative measures are taken. Private interest groups include Sweetwater Brewery and Georgia Power. Georgia Power uses the river every day to generate electricity. In 1904, they built Morgan Falls Dam on the Chattahoochee River and began generating electricity. By 1914, they had 3 hydro and steam electric plants. The quality and life of the Chattahoochee River is very important to Georgia Power, seeing as how they depend upon it so much. They sponsor many organizations that work to keep the river clean, such as Georgia Adopt a Stream, Rivers Alive, and Save the Hooch. Just to give you an idea of how much impact they can have, Rivers Alive logged 105,992 hours of cleaning time and picked up 952,469 pounds of garbage from 2,154 miles of Georgia in 1 year. Sweetwater Brewery is located off the subsidiary of the Chattahoochee River in Atlanta and draws upon the river for its brews. Since they use the river for their brews, it is imperative that the water be clean. Thanks to this, they are a huge player in keeping the river clean. They co-founded the campaign Save the Hooch with the UCR in 2005, which is also sponsored by Georgia Power. Save the Hooch campaign runs from Memorial Day to July 4th every year and brings in people of all classes, places, and interests to help raise money and awareness for the Upper Chattahoochee Riverkeeper. The last group is community involvement. According to Sally Bethea, community contribution and involvement are now crucial for both the river and the many organizations that protect it. Many organizations are now concentrating in reaching out to minorities in the metropolitan area, since they would have a major impact on the cleanup and conservation of the river.
The majority of this community involvement is volunteer. The river would not be where it is today if it was not for volunteers. They are the life force behind everything. Volunteers offer to help organizations such as the Riverway Project, Upper Chattahoochee Riverkeeper, the Georgia River Network, and the Chattahoochee Nature Center. The Riverway Project has a division called Bacteria Alert. Bacteria is just as much a pollutant to the Chattahoochee River as the garbage and oil, and can often make the river unsafe to swim in or be around. Bacteria Alert volunteers are responsible for taking regular samples of the river at designated locations and sending them to labs to be tested and counted for bacteria present in the river. Most of these sample sites are located at high traffic or recreational locations. Results are posted online and let people know whether or not the river is safe to be around. These bacteria counts tend to go up with things like rainfall, where fecal matter surrounding the river ends up in the river. The Upper Chattahoochee River Keeper has played a huge role not only getting the river to where it is today, but in also keeping it that way. Sally Bethea continues to work to bring awareness to every member of the community and open people's eyes to what is happening and what needs to be done.
Can the Chattahoochee really accommodate the growth that is proposed? It's a small river. There's no other river in the whole country that has such a small watershed or drainage area of land to capture the rainwater to sustain the people in the metropolitan area. So how do you work that out? We're trying to figure out ways to bring people back to the river like this so that more people become friends and supporters of this incredible resource. Too many people see the river when they are on a road passing across it. They don't feel the immense value of the river and make a personal connection.
Volunteers are regularly taking out to the river to do cleanups. They are also hosting the 14th annual event, River Revival, on May 13th. It is going to be held at the Park Tavern in Piedmont Park in Atlanta. It is also the initiation of the Save the Hooch campaign. There will be music, food, and drinks, as well as live and silent auctions.
The Georgia River Network is another organization that hosts activities such as river cleanups. While Georgia River deals with all rivers in Georgia, the Chattahoochee is definitely one they work on. Every year they hold their annual Paddle Georgia that takes participants on a week-long 82-mile canoe and kayak trip through Georgia's river networks. The Chattahoochee Nature Center is located on the river in Roswell, and through an interactive gallery, teaches people a little about the river and its importance. They have community outreach programs that encourage members of the community to help clean the river. It has multiple programs for many differently sized parties, and these programs range anywhere from the topics of discovering nature for young children and preschoolers to interactive courses on hawks and reptiles for adults.
While the river is no longer endangered, and while there is plenty being done to help and keep the river safe and clean, there is always more to do. Population keeps increasing, road and construction runoff continues to be a bigger and bigger issue, and even litter increases. These issues will continue to rise if people do not start making more of an individual difference. As Georgians, it is our duty to be aware of the threats to our natural resources. If we all pull together as a community, we can begin cleaning up the river and preventing future contamination. The river will likely never be returned to its original state, but if cleaning up the Chattahoochee River becomes seen more as a challenge than a failure, we may be able to save it for posterity.